Okay, we're reading now out of As Bill Sees It, the references to slips, and we're going to start out on page 11. About this slip business, I would not be too discouraged. I think you're suffering a great deal from needless guilt. For some reason or other, the Lord has laid out tougher paths for some of us, and I guess you're treading one of them. God is not asking us to be successful. He's only asking us to try to be. That you are surely doing and have been doing. So I would not stay away from AA through any feeling of discouragement or shame. It's just the place you should be. Why don't you try just as a member? You don't have to carry the whole AA on your back, you know. It's not always the quantity of good things that you do. It's also the quality that counts. Above all, take it one day at a time.
Page 52, to guard against the slip. Suppose we fall short of our chosen ideals and stumble. Does this mean we are going to get drunk? Some people tell us so. But this is only a half-truth. It depends on us and on our motives. If we are sorry for what we have done and have the honest desire to let God take us to better things, we believe we'll be forgiven and we'll have learned our lesson. If we are not sorry and our conduct continues to harm others, we're quite sure to drink. These are facts out of our experience.
Okay, 6-8. Renew your effort. Though I know how hurt and sorry you must be after this slip, please do not worry about a temporary loss of your inner peace. As calmly as you can, just renew your effort on the AA program, especially those parts of it which have to do with meditation and self-analysis. Could I also suggest that you look at excessive guilt for what it is? Nothing but a sort of reverse pride. A decent regret for what has happened is fine, but guilt, no. Indeed, the slip could well have been brought about by unreasonable feelings of guilt because of other moral failures, so-called. Surely you ought to look into this possibility. Even here, you should not blame yourself for failure. You can be penalized only for refusing to try for better things. 9-9.
Page 99. The slipper needs understanding. Slips can often be charged to rebellion. Some of us are more rebellious than others. Slips may be due to the illusion that one can be cured of alcoholism. Slips can also be charged to carelessness and complacency. Many of us fail to ride out these periods sober. Things go fine for 2 or 3 years, and then the member is seen no more. Some of us suffer extreme guilt because of vices or practices that we can't or won't let go of. Too little self-forgiveness and too little prayer. Well, this combination adds up to slips. And some of us are far more alcohol damaged than others. Still others encounter a series of calamities and cannot seem to find the spiritual resources to meet them. There are those of us who are physically ill. Others are subject to more or less continuous exhaustion, anxiety, and depression. These conditions often play a part in slips. Sometimes they are utterly controlling.
Okay, 154. Relapses in the group. An early fear was that of slips or relapses. At first, every alcoholic we approached began to slip, if indeed he sobered up at all. Others would stay dry for 6 months, or maybe a year, and then take a skid. This was always a genuine catastrophe. We would look at each other and say, "Who's next?" Today, those slips are very serious difficulty. As a group, we take them in stride. Fear has evaporated. Alcohol always threatens the individual, but we know that it cannot destroy the common welfare. It does not seem to pay to argue with slippers about the proper method of getting dry. After all, why should people who are drinking tell we who are dry how it should be done? Just kid the boys along. Ask them if they are having fun. If they are too noisy or troublesome, amiably keep out of their way.
Page 184, Meeting Adversity. Our spiritual and emotional growth in AA does not depend so deeply upon success as it does upon our failures and setbacks. If you will bear this in mind, I think that your slip will have the effect of kicking you upstairs instead of down. We AAs have had no better teacher than old man adversity, except in those cases where we refuse to let him teach us. Now and then, all of us fall under heavy criticism. When we are angered and hurt, it's difficult not to retaliate in kind. Yet we can restrain ourselves and then probe ourselves, asking whether our critics were really right. If so, we can admit our defects to them. This usually clears the air for mutual understanding. Suppose our critics are being unfair, then we can try calm persuasion. If they continue to rant, it is still possible for us in our hearts to forgive them. Maybe a sense of humor can be our saving grace. Thus we can both forgive and forget.
197. Where rationalizing leads. You know what our genius for rationalization is. If, to ourselves, we fully justify one slip, then our rationalizing propensities are almost sure to justify another one, perhaps with a different set of excuses. But one justification leads to another, and presently we are back on the bottle full time. Experience shows all too often, even the controlled pill taker may get out of control. The same crazy rationalizations that once characterized his drinking begin to blight his existence. If he thinks that if pills can cure insomnia, so may they cure his worry. Our friends, the doctors, are seldom directly to blame for the dire results we so often experience. If it is too easy for alcoholics to buy these dangerous drugs, and once possessed of them, the drinker is often likely to use them without any judgment whatsoever.
213, complete the house cleaning. Time after time, newcomers have tried to keep to themselves shoddy facts about their lives. Trying to avoid the humbling experience of the fifth step, they have turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, they got drunk. Having persevered with the rest of the program, they wondered why they fell. We think the reason is they never completed their house cleaning. They took inventory all right, but hung on to some of the worst items in stock. They only thought they had lost their egoism, and fear. They only thought they had humbled themselves. They had not learned enough of humility, fearlessness, and honesty in the sense we find it necessary until they told someone else their entire life story.
214, only try. In my teens, I had to be an athlete because I was not an athlete. I had to be a musician because I could not carry a tune. I had to be the president of my class in boarding school. I had to be the first in everything because in my perverse heart, I felt myself the least of God's creatures. I could not accept my deep sense of inferiority, and so I strove to be captain of the baseball team, and I did learn to play the fiddle. Lead I must, or else. This was the all or nothing kind of demand that later did me in. I'm glad you're going to try that new job, but make sure you're only going to try. If you approach the project in the attitude that I must succeed, I must not fail, I cannot fail, then you practically guarantee the flop, which in turn will guarantee a drinking relapse. But if you look at the venture as a constructive experiment only, then all should go well.
Page 251, face the music. Don't be too discouraged about that slip. Practically always we drunks learn the hard way. Your idea of moving on to somewhere else may be good, or it may not. Perhaps you have got into an emotional or economic jam that can't be well handled where you are, but maybe you are doing just what all of us have done at one time or another. Maybe you are running away. Why don't you try to think that through again carefully? Are you really placing recovery first? Or are you making it contingent upon other people, places, or circumstances? You may find it ever so much better to face the music right where you are now, and with the help of the AA program, win through. Before you make a decision, weigh it in these terms.
And our final reading for today, 291. Painkiller or pain healer. I believe that when we were active alcoholics, we drank mostly to kill pain of one kind or another, physical or emotional or psychotic. Of course, everybody has a cracking point, and I suppose you reached yours, hence the resort once more to the bottle. If I were you, I wouldn't heap devastating blame on myself for this. On the other hand, the experience should redouble your conviction that alcohol has no permanent value as a painkiller. In every AA story, pain has been the price of admission into a new life. But this admission price purchased more than we expected. It led us to a measure of humility, which we soon discovered to be a healer of pain. We began to fear pain less and desire humility more than ever.